What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Opening day, it is a great day. It should be a national holiday if it's
It really
not.
should be. I'm working to. Oh, I didn't say that. I'm not working today.
Uh,
You know,
my boss gave me the day off, so
lucky
I'm
you,
good.
lucky you, lucky you. Got MLB Network on all day today. Really excited about that one. And guys, do not forget to subscribe wherever you guys are watching or listening. What's up, YouTube? Go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Hang on for this incredible ride of Angels Baseball 2023. We'll be with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, technically Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, but you guys get the gist of it. We'll be around all year long. Of course, we're going to have guests on along the season. We're going to have a lot of hot takes, I feel like. Hopefully, no more negative Nate, as the Angels have put together a fairly decent team. I don't know if I'm going to call it good yet, but let's see how the season plays out.
That already started with
Don't want to
negative.
set expectations too high. Really don't. I feel like every single season we come into the season, every single season we come into the season. That sounds weird. Every single year we come into it saying, "Hey, this is a good team. We got a chance here."
We
Look, we no, hold on. Now everybody looks back at it and it's like, wow, how did we say that? You look at the roster that the team has put together this year, and you look at what it was last year, and it's like, how do you expect to win with a team like that last year? I feel a lot better. Not great. I feel a lot better coming into the season this year. I think the Angels can stick around for a little while. That's kind of our first discussion here, Nate. You think the Angels can kind of stick around for a little while? They played good baseball at the start of last season. We knew that that would possibly come to an end looking at who they were playing and everything like that. But do you think the Angels can, kind of do what they did last year to start the season off?
It's gonna be tough. It is going to be tough. They don't have they've got some their schedule looks like it's gonna be like, hey, you got one or two easy guys and then you got one or two hard opponents, and it's just gonna go back and forth. So I know you say this every year. Can they sit around 500? Of course, they can sit around 500 through those first month and a half, 2 months. But the big thing is, if they, my biggest thing with this is, can you? You're not going to win a World Series in April and May, but you can lose it in April and May. And I don't think people understand that enough. Like, just because you start badly, that could be the reason you don't make the playoffs. So it is important for them to get off to a decent start. I do have some worries, and we'll get into that, obviously. But of course they can stick around. Like every team can stick around. I that's what's so fun about opening day. Like even if you're the Oakland A's or the Pittsburgh Pirates, you still think you have a chance. I mean, last year people were saying Baltimore has no shot, and
Look at them.
they were, right there with it. So like that's what's so fun about it is like everyone has a chance. The game's not played on paper, thankfully, and you know we'll see.
Yeah, you mentioned it already. The AL, well, you didn't mention it, but you said it's tough, obviously.
Yeah.
The AL, I think, is exceptionally tough, especially going through and trying to figure out what, who to put where, like the AL West is I think is slightly up for grabs. We know the World Series winner came from the AL West, but I think it's a little bit up for grabs. The Central, who knows what happens there. The Wild, it's usually the Wild West, but I think it's the Wild East this season. And then wild card teams with 3 spots. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think the NL is a little bit more solved, but we'll go over that here in a second. Let's break down, I guess, the 4 main keys for a team to be a team, and the Angels. So we go the starters, the bullpen, the offense, and the defense. Let's start with starters. I think the Angels have a solid 3. That's fair to say, correct? Solid 3.
Yeah.
I think they're missing a pitcher or two, but I think they have a solid 3. How do we feel about starting pitching for the Angels coming into this?
MLB.com ranked them 10th, tied for 10th with Seattle. Um,
And I think that's pretty
Fair.
close.
I
Yeah.
I think Seattle probably has a little bit of an edge right now.
Who
This
matches up?
second.
Who matches up better? Like, are we playing the matchups games? Or are you saying just like top 5 pitchers.
Top 5 versus top 5.
I think matchups, that's a lot of fun. Like if the Angels and Seattle played and you go 1-2-3, 1-2-3, what is it for Seattle?
It's probably
Castillo,
Castillo
Gilbert, and
versus
Kirby?
Ohtani. You have Castillo, you have Gilbert, you have Ray, you have
Mhm. I think they're deeper in 5 with 5, but I think matchups 1-2-3 are a lot more fun than
you have Kirby as well coming
Gilbert.
off, his rookie year.
Yeah.
And then let's see who I mean, they got a couple different options at 5. That's why I'm like
Yeah.
blanking on who they actually are running out there, but they have
Regardless.
Gonzalez is an option, and you also have Matt Brash who has started, Chris Flexen who has started. So like they have some guys. But I think if you're going 5 versus 5, the Angels win game 1, and then you're looking at, 2, 3, 4 kind of up for grabs, and 5 you're probably giving to Seattle because I'm
Yeah.
not a big Suarez guy.
And I
But
say anything after 5, you get to Seattle too. You're talking about flexing, Marco Gonzalez, those type of guys
yeah,
being in that like
yeah.
6, 7, 8 role. That's rough. But regardless, let's Angel talk. Angel talk.
Yeah, yeah. So 10th, I think that's fair. I would give the edge to Seattle barely there. Um, and I don't think Minnesota's in the top 10, which I think is interesting as well. I don't think Minnesota has that Otani type of guy, which is very important to have a dude, and that's I preach that a lot, to have a dude in the rotation. So they might be more well-rounded, but the Angels have a dude, and they have some higher upside, like Detmers and Sandoval. If those guys hit like we think they could, if Sandoval throws like he did for Team Mexico, he's gonna be a tough guy.
Two
He's gonna be tough.
two legitimate Cy Young candidates there.
Yeah,
In a
he's gonna be tough.
in an AL that's not that deep on the pitching side of things either. I mean, deep, but not like NL deep. I think the NL is a lot deeper than the A.
Really, you do?
I think it's similar. I mean, I'm always
I
I think
mean,
NL is always going to
well,
be better
I
pitching.
I think I think honestly it was like 6. Well, there were technically 11 teams. I think it was 6 American League teams and 5 National League teams.
That's
Because
fair.
you're looking at Houston's in there, New York is in there,
I just
Angels were in there.
I look at an ace from an ace standpoint too. I
Oh yeah, yeah.
think the
If
NL
we're if
has
we're
more
looking at ace
aces.
standpoint, Texas has an ace,
Yeah,
the Angels have an ace.
I think
You could look at Toronto. Obviously, New York has an ace, and then
aces
Cleveland.
loose definition there, but
Yeah,
um, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we
There's
mentioned
some guys.
we mentioned though, like the Angels pitching wise, I'm not worried about 1 through 3. It's anything that comes after 3. I think that's fair to say. Like, what is Tyler Anderson? That's a question mark. He came coming off a fantastic season, but what is he with the Angels? Jose Suarez, we've seen the inconsistencies. He's been good late in the season, back-to-back years. It's to start the season off that he needs to figure out. That 6th spot that I know is not going to get hit all that often, but you still need to find,
We still got to make like 14 starts. Like
well, what
that's
is
a
that?
lot of
14
that's a
times
lot of
5 innings.
starts.
You're hoping for 5 innings out of that 6th starter every single time, right? And every once in a while, you probably get a 6th and 7th out of that.
But
6th and
still,
7th
to
inning.
just disregard 14 starts is a lot. That's 14 chances you have to win or lose a baseball game. The Angels,
Yeah.
you could miss the playoffs by 2 or 3 games, and it could come down to, did that 6th starter do his job? Like 14 starts is a lot. So
Yeah.
to discredit that, I think you got to really look at it and say, like, if Davidson's on a short leash, if he doesn't do his job, we got to go get somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to the bullpen here. The bullpen, I'm worried about depth there. I'm worried about depth. I'm not
I'm
necessarily.
really not worried about depth.
I'm worried a little bit about depth.
I'm worried about
After who you have right now in the bullpen, there isn't a lot to pull from with like major league experience on the 40 man too. Like you can pull up some guys like Davinsky's down there. I still think Evan Marshall, who hasn't pitched in since 2020 or
Holder,
2021. Jonathan Holder. You have some MLB
Caesar
experience.
Valdez, technically.
It's not on the 40 man though, which worries me. So you have to make room for those guys, which means if you're making room for those guys, you're either DFAing some people or you have some injuries.
Yeah, it's
That's
fair.
that's the way that I'm looking at it. Granted, you got, I mean, even
Garza, don't forget Justin Garza.
Justin Garza. If Justin Garza's on the 40 man though, so that might be one of the first guys you see up.
Zach
Uh,
Wise is on the 40. So
but
both those guys.
you're worried about the guys already in there.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
I'm
you
not worried
gave
about depth because I think the Angels have enough depth when it comes to the bullpen C-Rod comes back, he could be
Yeah.
like that's a reliever. I
That's
don't think C-Rod's a starter. I think C-Rod comes back as a reliever.
mm.
Um, we've already seen the hype around Ben Joyce. Ben Joyce is outstanding. You'll probably see him at some point this year. Um, and then you keep going. There's a bunch of different guys that could fill in here. Maybe Silseth comes up and pitches out of the pen if they need it. Like there's enough guys depth wise. Bachman, if the Angels are in it late, Bachman could come up and pitch out of the pen. Um, I'm worried about the getting to the. I'm really not worried about getting to the seventh.
So you're
It's
not so you're not worried about anything at this point?
can they get the final 6 outs?
You say you're
I
not.
don't think they can get the final 6 outs.
Well, usually you like the term closer. I don't like the term closer. I think
I know you don't like the term closer, but Aaron Loop was one of the worst pitchers last year in Major League Baseball when it came to getting guys out when he came in with runners on.
well, Aaron Loop isn't in that situation this year. Is that
You
fair
don't
to
know
say?
that.
Well, if
You
he's
don't
if
know
he's in
that.
that situation, he's pitching well then.
You don't know that.
I
You
do.
you really don't know
If
that.
Aaron Loop is pitching in high leverage situations, things are going well. I think that
Not
if he's not pitching
necessarily.
in high leverage, like if they use him, I don't think they will because I think he's a better pitcher than this, and I think that he wasn't one of the better relievers on the team. But if they use him like Team USA used him in one of the what was
Team
it?
USA used him in garbage time. If they're
Exactly,
using him in
exactly.
garbage time, that
He's not a
pisses me
good
off
pitcher this
even
year.
more.
Well, no, he's not a good pitcher this year if they're using him in garbage time, right?
And it pisses me off even more knowing we're paying him $8.5 million to pitch
No,
in garbage time.
that's
But
fine.
so you
You
have him. He's probably going to be pitching seventh, eighth, ninth inning. You got four guys that I'll give it five. Five guys that are probably going to be pitching seventh, eighth, ninth inning. I'm going to say Herget's probably pitching late right now. They're going to give him a chance. You're going to have Loop and Tapera, and then you're going to have Moore and Esteves. Those are the five. I did not name Quijada because I don't think Quijada can pitch in that role. I know he did last year a little bit, but those are the five guys that I think pitch in the late inning roles. And I have question marks about all of them. Every single one of them. Herget, we've seen it. He's been DFA'd before. We've seen the Angels have these guys have one hit wonders that come back. Hansel Robles comes to mind. So I'm a little nervous with him.
Volatility. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so who knows with him? Tapera, I never liked the signing. You can look it up. I've not liked the signing from the beginning. Same with Loop.
It's on your Wikipedia.
Probably so.
Okay.
It is on my Twitter though. It is if you deep dive in there. I remember saying that Loop was not going to be good and Tapera was not going to be good.
That's fair. For what it's worth, you've sold me on the depth. I'll say that. Like I look at it as like I'm okay with what they have now, but if anything happens to the bullpen, it's like the offense last year. Like they're not made to lose anybody, but realistically, I think they can be made. They are made to lose maybe a piece or two, or for a piece the two not to be bad. But yeah, like I said, volatility wise, it does scare me. It does scare me a little bit.
And the other thing too is Esteves, you signed him to be a back end guy. Like you can tell me all these things that you didn't sign him to be a back end guy. No.
Well, no,
when they signed him, everyone was saying he was going to pitch in the eighth or ninth inning.
I think Perry and Phil Nevin expected him to pitch in the eighth or ninth inning, and I still think they expect him to pitch in the eighth or ninth. I wouldn't be. I'm not looking at a spring training.
He could be great. He could be great. But I think part of the reason the Angels signed him, there were two reasons I think the Angels signed him. One was hoping to get his numbers out of Colorado, because when he pitched outside of Colorado, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing they saw, and it's something he has struggled with, is, hey, when he throws the ball up in the zone, he is tough to hit. And guess what? He has struggled with throwing the ball up in the zone. Not every pitcher can throw it up in the zone.
No.
Like it just depends on the guy. So I am concerned with him. I am concerned with Matt Moore. Matt Moore's had one good year out of the pen on a team that nobody cared about watching. He was pitching for the Rangers last year, fourth place team. They weren't really in it. Yeah, it's high leverage, but it's not really high leverage when you're, 18 games out of it.
Hey, hey, watch yourself there. You're gonna make some people very upset with games that don't matter in stats. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout were on a bad team last year. You taking that away from them?
Yeah, that's why I gave Aaron Judge the MVP last year. But it is. Part of the reason I gave Aaron Judge the MVP is he was playing in important games. But let's
bullpen.
Keep going about the bullpen. I'm nervous about the back half of games. I'm not really nervous about Jaime Barria. He threw well in his role last year. Um,
Don't break what's not broken.
yeah, Wants, you know, we'll see what happens there. I Davidson, we'll see what happens there, but it's the last 9 outs of the game. How are they going to get that? Is it going to be, Tepera, Moore, and Estevez, and then we're going to be holding our breath every single night, and that's not really how I want to be watching games.
Yeah, I like it. I like watching games that way. It makes it more fun. Not really. I'd like to know that the bullpen is sure. And you never know. I'm intrigued in this bullpen. I depth is there. I think that if you start having some issues, you see Joyce real quick, you see Bachman real quick, because I mean I think they really showed something in the
T-Rod as
in
well, depending on how he
C
comes
Rod when
back.
he comes back. The bullpen could become really good really quickly if the bullpen starts off bad. If that is that weird to think that? Like, I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It could like take a huge turn if the bullpen starts off not very good and you start having some issues there. So on to the defensive side of things, I think a spot that a lot of people overlook. Nate, I know you want to talk about a certain position. Go ahead and complain about that certain position that you want to talk about.
No, no, go
All right.
ahead. Start
No,
start with what you
no,
want to
sure.
talk about.
You can talk about. I think up the middle is going to be, and I think that's the only place you really need to talk about is up the middle, right?
Yeah,
Like I
and I'm
think
gonna
everything else
throw
is.
up watching Gio Urshela start at shortstop every single day.
I think I I think Luis Renifo and Gio Urshela are good enough at shortstop. I don't think they're great. I think they're good enough at shortstop to be competent there, right? They're not Andrew Velasquez defensively. They're not Levon Soto defensively, Eric Ibar, whatever you want to say. They're not a great defender, right? But I think they're going to be good enough. I think they're going to be below average defenders, and I hope they prove me wrong too. But I think they're going to be below average defenders. But I think they're going to be good enough to be competent there, and the Angels aren't going to suffer too much. The thing that worries me the most is the shift, and I am very concerned about this. Nobody's talking about it, and I've said it a couple times. Nobody's talking about the shift, and everybody's concerned about the pitch clock, and we're still getting questions about the pitch clock and how pitchers are going to be affected. I honestly, and I'm going to stick to this, and we know stats are going to come out around in July about all hitting has gone up 30 points, or not 30 points, but like it's gone up 10, 15 points batting average wise, and the on base percentage has gone up, and that's the thing that scares me the most is the shifting. Like I think that if the Angels can put the guys in the right spot, then it's fine. But the Angels also have done a horrendously bad job of scouting in the past and where guys are going to hit balls. And I mean, we mentioned this. Remember the David Fletcher hitting the right field and how hot he was to start the season off, and then all of a sudden the Astros put a guy playing T-ball right field right down the line, and David Fletcher couldn't get hits anymore because that's where he hit the ball. Nobody found that out until the Astros put somebody out there, and then the rest of the league was like, "Oh, we're going to play him 150, 100, not even 100, like 50 feet behind first base, and David Fletcher's going to hit it there the entire time." That's what worries me the most about the Angels is scouting and putting guys in the correct spot, and that's going to be huge this year.
Yeah, and that's why I am really, really upset about Gio Urshela starting at shortstop because he's not a shortstop. He's a third baseman. And I think there are teams who could get away with him playing at shortstop. Like the
Like the
team that,
Astros.
well, I was going to say the team that comes to mind is the Dodgers. The
Good teams
Dodgers,
that scout well.
the Dodgers went out and got Manny Machado and put him at shortstop. Manny Machado is not a shortstop. He's a third baseman. And the Dodgers said, guess what? You're going to play in this position and this position and this position. And he played good defense. His defense went up from third base. And he was like one of the best defenders in third base. And his defensive numbers went up because the Dodgers had him in the right spot. And then he goes and his defensive numbers decline a little bit because the Padres didn't have him in the right spot like the Dodgers did. So, and I think it was the Orioles who had him playing shortstop, and then they took his numbers when he was like a second-year guy and put it when he was with the Dodgers, which is like year 6. And his numbers with the Dodgers were better than him with the Orioles. So I think there are teams that can get away with Gio Urshela playing shortstop. The Angels are not one of them, knowing the way that they've done things lately. And that's what really scares me. And when you start to look at it, it doesn't just affect, Gio Urshela. It affects Tyler Anderson. It affects Patrick Sandoval. It affects Reed Detmers. a lot more than people think. I'm not going to throw Ohtani in this because Otani's a big strikeout fly ball guy. Not too many of his outs are on the ground, but
Neither is
you're going to
Tyler
get
Anderson. Tyler Anderson's a big fly ball
Tyler
guy.
Anderson was the first guy I said.
No, you said you're not concerned about.
No, I said Tyler Anderson, Sandoval,
You
Suarez,
were
Detmers. I was concerned about.
Tyler Anderson's a fly ball guy.
Half and half. Look it up. He does. Look it up. He's half and
Doesn't
half.
strike him, but that's fine.
He literally doesn't strike anyone out. It's literally like he gets 4 Ks per 9. So if you're striking out 4 per 9, that means you got to get out somewhere else. And I want to say, if you look it up, I think it's right about 50-50 ground ball fly ball. So when you start to look at these things where Gio Urshela is playing not in the right spot and he can't get to a ball in the hole because he's playing straight up. Now we're giving up hits. Now we're giving up more base runners. All these things, and it makes it a lot tougher on Tyler Anderson, Patrick Sandoval, Jose Suarez, all these guys, especially when Otani's really the only one who strikes out a lot of guys. Like Detmers, we'll see how it works with the slider this year. He's no hitter yet, 2 Ks, 3
There's
Ks.
been a lot more. There's been a lot more swing and miss in those top 3 guys.
There
As of
has.
late. So,
But we want to see what it looks like in a regular season game, obviously. So yeah, I think it's a way bigger deal than people are making out to be. People are like, oh, it's Gio Urshela, who cares? And I remember being on this show with you and Derek the day the Gio Urshela thing happened, and I said, I'm going to be pissed if Gio Urshela is the opening day shortstop. And here we are, March 30th, Gio Urshela is starting at shortstop.
and you're pissed on opening day?
Yes.
All right. I don't want to watch baseball with you tonight then.
That's fine.
Fly ball rate 42%, ground ball rate 40% for Anderson, by the way.
There you go. Like I said, right about 50-50 for each.
That's fine. And I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. So let's get on to the thing that I am least concerned about and only have one thing to say about. That is the offense. And I think if the offense stays healthy, I'm okay. Is that fair? Just stay healthy.
Sure.
Mike Trout stay healthy. Hunter Renfroe stay healthy. Shohei Ohtani stay healthy. Anthony Rendon, please stay healthy, because I want Anthony Rendon to prove every Angels fan wrong that has ever talked shit about him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but you're asking for a lot. You're asking for guys who have been hurt for.
I'm just asking for like 140 games out of most of those guys. Like if Anthony Rendon gives me 130, I'm cool with that. Like one IL stint from everybody, and I'm okay.
Yeah. Right? And as long as it's not all at the same time, that would help too.
Well, I mean, it's like fantasy football. You put everybody on the bye week that week, right?
I know, but it felt like when things started to go bad, it was like Trout was on the IL and Rendon was on the IL, and then you start throwing all these other guys.
I mean, the Angels are built a little bit differently than last year. I think they are. Well, I don't think they can handle everybody being on the IL, but I think they can handle 15 games here, 15 games there. As long as Andrew Velazquez isn't starting every day, as long as Levan Soto isn't starting every day, as long as Joe Adell isn't starting every day, though I want to see what he can do. Mickey Moniak, same thing. I want to see what he can do, but I don't mind them starting 15, 20, 30 games this year if you have some injuries and you're not relying on those guys.
We'll see. We'll see.
Just saying.
The offense should be fine. I do have a couple concerns with, obviously, Brandon Drury coming off, the best year of his career, and we're basically paying for those numbers and not like what he was. So obviously that's going to be a little bit concerning to me. And then how are some of these guys going to react to playing multiple positions and, maybe only playing 2 or 3 days and then taking an off day? Like, you look at some of these guys, like Fletcher's used to playing pretty much every day. Walsh is used to playing pretty much every day until, he got hurt. Drury's about the only guy that isn't used to playing every day. Urshela plays third base every day, typically. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is how do these guys get used to not hitting every day in games? If it works, then, it'll be fine. But there is a chance that it ends in a disaster.
And we've said this before, big fans of consistency when it comes to guys playing every day, especially when it comes to the hitting side of things. And
especially when it's like obvious, like your role, when you're playing, but like there's just not really going to be too much consistency. Like okay, Drury will probably start against lefties at first base.
Hmm.
But you're gonna have days where it's like, oh, you know what? We're gonna start Drury at second base. We're gonna start Fletcher at shortstop, and then the
I
next
like
day,
I like the versatility. I'll say that. Like I like that you can
yeah,
put guys everywhere and you can have different lineups everywhere.
it
I like
just
that
sucks going to the ballpark and knowing like, hey, I'm facing a lefty today.
from a player's
Where the
standpoint.
heck am I playing?
I
Oh,
knew
am I in the lineup today?
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm maybe Walsh is hot. Like, let's
Yeah.
say Walsh comes off the IL and he's like hitting 315 and
Yeah.
he's got like 4 or 5 homers, and it's like, oh, we're facing a lefty today. Walsh is going to the ballpark. Am I even playing today?
Well, I mean, no. Let's be honest here. Like, if the Angels are smart, no, he's not playing against lefties because he's Mike Trout against righties. To be fair, like a
But he
170
he
WRC+.
could play against an easier lefty.
I
Like
mean, I play the numbers at that point. When I'm looking at splits, I play the numbers. Jared
if
Walsh,
the
if you don't have to play against a lefty, that's fine with me. You know, you
but
have
if the
brain
dude is
injury. You have
if the dude is playing out of his mind, he's hitting over 400
yes,
in
oh
the
no, no,
last
okay.
week or two. Like
Yes, if he's hitting a home run every at bat and it's against righties, then sure, like that's fine. There are exceptions, 100%. There are exceptions
that,
to
but
it. I
that's what
don't,
I'm saying. Like you're gonna have
yeah,
guys showing up to the yard. Like, am I playing today? Or
and
if I'm
I
playing,
didn't like that either. As a pitcher, I didn't like coming into the park and not knowing like, hey, am I starting today? Like I know I'm
yeah.
pitching. Like, am I starting? It's a different mindset. I get it. I do totally get it. With that being said, Angels, what do we think they're before let's do that last. Let's do that last. Let's get on to our standings predictions, I guess. And we'll just kind of go down the line. We'll give a prediction for each division, and then we'll do some awards as well. Preseason awards. I think I won last year and got 0 right. I think you lost last year and got 1 right. So that's fair.
So winning is we're playing golf now. Got it.
Yeah, winning is golf.
Got
Okay,
it.
let's start here. Let's make this quick here.
Yeah.
Because I know the Angels coming on here relatively soon. So, the AL West, who do you got?
Astros.
Astros. I'm in agreement with you. The AL Central.
I'm gonna go White Sox.
Oh, dude, we're the same again. Damn it, White Sox as well. I like the White Sox last year. I think if they stay healthy, they're fine. The AL East.
Blue Jays.
Damn it, dude, the Blue Jays too. Okay, that's fine.
We didn't even talk about
No, we didn't talk
this
about this either. You guys, everybody thinks we talked about this.
And I was
Haven't
literally
talked
going
about
to.
this yet.
I thought you were gonna say Yankees, so I was
No,
like, all right, I'm gonna make sure we're different here.
no.
And then I picked. Blue Jays.
I mean, since I just watching the Yankees get hurt a lot right in the past like 2 weeks or so, I'm like, you can't lose in you can't win at the beginning of the season, but you can certainly lose. And I think this is kind of where they lose. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but wild card 1,
Yankees.
Yankees as well. Yep. Wild card 2.
I think Tampa gets it.
Can you stop, please? I got Tampa as well. I'm not kidding. I already have it written down too. I have it written down. I know you guys. It kind of looked weird.
And I guarantee. Oh, we're gonna be different here.
This is where we differ for sure.
Yeah.
Wild card 3. Go ahead.
Texas.
We both AL West teams. I think the Angels sneak in just because you have to win. You have to. You can't like this. You have to.
I just like Boch has been great wherever he's been. He continues to win.
There's not a
he's
wrong
gone to
answer
San
at wild card
Diego,
3. You could
San Francisco.
you could have told me the Twins, and I'd been like, I can see it. You could have told me a bunch of other teams. I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
Let's get on to the NL. The NL West. Finally,
Dodgers.
Finally, nope, not dethroned. I have the Padres. I just don't think the Dodgers are quite there anymore. The Central, easy, I think.
Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals. I have the Cardinals as well. As I got pups running around here. The East. I think this is tough.
I think Atlanta.
I got Atlanta too, but I had to think for a second. I did. But with the injuries early to the Mets, it's tough.
And Phillies are, they're a good team as well.
They are. The wild card's where it gets crazy. I think this is going to be a lot of fun going down the stretch. The wild card 1.
I'm gonna say Philly gets wild card 1.
Interesting. I have the Mets. I just think the Mets are too freaking good. Wild card 2.
I think it's San Diego.
Yeah, I got the Dodgers, so we just flip flop there.
Yep.
And then wild card 3.
I have the Mets.
And then we just flip flop there. I have the Phillies. Yep. So I mean, we're in the right vicinity there. I think we got the right mind of
same teams basically.
AL champs.
AL champs. I think Texas in a short series is going to be tough. I think Texas gets there.
If healthy, I agree with you. Man, Health
You
is
don't
all.
even have them making the playoffs too. And
I'm saying if healthy,
but if
it's
they get to the postseason and
yeah.
DeGrom is healthy,
hmm
that's
well,
that's
if they
gonna be
get to the
really tough.
postseason, they're healthy, right? I mean, I think that's a fair
Probably
assumption
so.
to make. So if they
Yeah.
get to the postseason,
And
it's scary. I just don't think
again,
they
I'm
do it.
giving the edge to the manager. I think Bochy does a great job.
Yeah,
He's won in San Diego. He's won in San Francisco. Like that dude just knows how to win baseball games. So
I got the
I
I got the Blue Jays.
okay.
I think they're deep. I think they're good. I think they're ready to go win. NL champs.
Um,
NL's tough, man. It really is.
it
That's gonna be a
is.
lot of fun. The NL's
It
fun.
is.
I went the Padres. I'll let you
I
think.
was gonna say
I went
I
the
think the
Padres.
Braves. I think the Braves get there. Not. You know what? Uh,
It's
Phillies.
tough.
Phillies go back.
Phillies again.
Phillies go back.
I think we both had the Phillies last year as like that
We
sneaker
did.
that sleeper
We
team.
had Phillies White Sox.
They've gotten good, but man, dude, the NL is so tough. That
It
NL
is.
is so much fun. I got the
It is.
in winning the World Series. I got the Padres.
I think the Phillies get it this year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the NL. I think the NL takes it. I just think the NL is a little bit better this year. Let's get on to the awards. The AL MVP.
AL MVP. I,
It's it's tough, but easy.
it is. I Mike Trout. Mike
Yeah,
Trout wins the.
I have Trout as well. I got Trout. NL MVP. Though it's hard to beat Shohei Ohtani, man. What he's doing. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah.
Shohei could probably win.
Obviously, Otani could win, but the thing that could ruin Otani is depending on where the Angels are at. He could get traded. There could be some things that
Yeah.
take it
Yep.
away from him. But
Trout's not getting traded. You know he's gonna have a 40 home
yeah,
run year or something along the lines of that. So if he
so
stays healthy, it's gonna be fun.
I think Mookie Betts wins the National League MVP.
I'm not against that. I got Juan Soto. I love Juan Soto, man. I think
Well,
he's so
you're on the Padre thing, so you kind of
yeah.
need a Padre to win.
Yep. I'm riding the Padres this year. AL Cy Young.
AL Cy Young. Eric Cole.
Good one. I like it. I think Cole bounces back. He had a bad year last year, air quoting that.
Yeah,
I got Shohei Ohtani. I think if he gets traded, he goes to an AL team.
possibly.
And I think that just kind of makes a lot of sense. And he's a damn good pitcher. And if he pitches more than 170 innings, which I think he could, regardless of where he's at, I think he gets above that 170 inning mark this year. I think he's got a good chance of winning it. NL Cy Young. Our favorite is what I picked. I'm gonna let you know, and you know our favorite.
So you went okay.
You know who I went. I think you know who I went.
And I think it's gonna be. I think Max is gonna win it.
Sure, I like that. That's fine. I went Aaron Nola. Is that who you were thinking?
No.
No, who you Zach Wheeler?
I thought you were going back to like a Corbin Burns, Brandon
No,
Woodruff type of deal.
no. I feel like I've picked Aaron Nola the past like 3 years, but I love Aaron Nola. He's so much fun.
Good pitcher.
This is gonna be a tough one. There are a lot of interesting guys here as we wind this one down. AL and NL Rookie of the Year. I'll start. I'll let you think. I went very simple, very easy here. I'm playing the odds. Gunnar Henderson and Corbin Carroll. I know there are a lot of fun names out there. We're already watching Anthony Volpe this afternoon. He looks like an absolute stud. Jordan Walker, Logan O'Hoppe. Can't forget to mention him either. So what do you got? AL and NL.
Anthony Volpe steals it from Gunnar Henderson. I think Gunnar Henderson had it locked, and then Volpe made the roster, and people are like, oh wow, like this kid's really good.
Okay.
National League wise, it's really hard not to go with Corbin Carroll. I think that's who I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Though Jordan Walker, watch out, he could hit 40.
He could.
That's a scary team there. So I don't want to go win losses. How many games did the Angels win before I let everybody go? 80. What gets into the playoffs? 80.
I think you got to win 87 to get to the playoffs. I think they finish 85. I'm going to go 80, 82 and 80.
All right. You're going to disappoint some fans. I think just because I think they're the third wild card team and they have to win 87 games. I think they win exactly 87 games. They could be a 90-win team. They could be a 70-win team. Honestly, like it's a very interesting season. I know we said this last year. I don't want to get hopes up or anything like that. I want to play realistic here, see what happens, let the Angels, if they win, fantastic. We're going to be extremely excited along for this fantastic ride. Guys, if you could go ahead and follow us on all our social media, subscribe wherever you are listening to this. Let us know who you think is going to win all these awards as well. Play along with us. So again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, guys, and have a great rest of your day.